To be clear, I think everyone should ride their motorcycle in their own way. There's no wrong way to ride your bike. There's no wrong way to explore the backcountry. I don't care if you're riding a Goldwing on an MX track or a KTM 500 EXCF 1,000 miles on the highway. What you do with your bike is your business, and there's no right way to use any motorcycle. Having said that, it doesn't mean that I don't have opinions. Some members of this community do stuff that I don't understand, and some other members of this community, or some of the same members, will talk people for things that they have no business judging others for. So since it's the end of the year, and even though I love and respect you all, some of y'all need some tough love. These are my ADV riding hot takes. Number one, you need to learn to change a tire. This one really became evident when the Trans Alp came out and I started making content on it, and so many comments were like, why doesn't it have tubeless tires? And corollary, secondary point, why doesn't it have cruise control? If you're gonna leave the pavement on a motorcycle, you need to learn how to change a tube. The best way to learn this is by swapping your own tires. It sucks, it's hard, it takes a lot of time to learn, but all of that time invested will pay off the first time you have to do it out in the hot desert sun. It's not if, but when. I've only had 2 flats myself so far, but I've been involved with half a dozen or more, and it's better to be helpful in these situations than to be the guy who stands around watching someone else change his tire. I can hear the responses now. I don't need that, I have tubeless. Sidewall slashes happen. Bent rims happen. Both of these require you to know how to put in a tube, even in a tubeless tire. Jeff on the NorCal BDR had tubeless tires. He had a simple staple puncture, and he could not get it to seal with plugs. Fortunately, we were able to get it fixed with slime, but the next step in that evolution was we were going to pull that tire and put a tube in it. You need to know how to change a tire. You need to know how to put a tube in. Learn to change a tire. I hate myself every time I force myself to do it. That's my Rabaconda right there because I did it last night and I'm doing the front this afternoon. I don't enjoy the process. It is tough medicine, but knowing how to change your tire and be self-sufficient when you're out there off the pavement, far from roadside assistance, is worth it. You should learn to change a tire. Number 2 ADV hot take. This is a drum I've been beating for years, but it is perfectly acceptable to trailer a dual sport or adventure bike to where you want to ride. I used to get this comment a ton on my early videos. Why do you even get a dual sport if you're not going to ride it to the trails? Let me think. Fuel range, it only has a 2-gallon tank. Tire wear, I don't want to wear out my good off-road tires on the highway. It's not comfortable. It doesn't have a lot of highway capability. I don't want to get to the trail and already be tired from riding a bike that's not really made for long highway rides in the first place. A million other reasons. And or corollary, side note, alternate answer, who gives a shit? When Duckfan and I went to the first Giant Loop ride, we trailered our Africa Twins out there. First comment I got on that video was, "You're 2 able-bodied men, why didn't you ride there?" My answer, simple answer, because I didn't want to. Base camping is a totally valid reason to trailer your bike, particularly if you're going somewhere far afield, going to a rally, or you're just going to set up a nice camp, right, and then ride out from camp and explore the local area. Not every bike is great on the highway. Not every bike is set up to carry all the gear you need. Some trips you need more gear than you can comfortably put on your bike and ride it. At the end of the day, who cares what someone else does with their property? Use your motorcycle in the way that you want. Get out there and enjoy it, and don't listen to anyone who tries to tell you you're doing it, quote, wrong. Number 3, and this is really poking the bear because psychologically when you spend a lot of money on something, you then begin to justify it as being worth it and more valuable. But my number 3 ADV hot take is any off-road motorcycle over 900 cc's is a touring bike. The extra weight and power are not useful off-road. KTM 1290 Adventure R, as an example, makes 160 horsepower. There is no tire on earth that can translate that much horsepower to the ground on a loose surface. It's why all the big bikes have wheelie control, traction control, yada, yada, yada. If you're buying a bike over 900 cc's, it's either for highway comfort, which isn't much better than a mid-sized bike. I think my 790 is perfectly comfortable on the highway. Because you want to go fast, which, okay, I get. Like, you want sport bike speed. It's fun. I understand that. It's not practical, it's fun. But motorcycles aren't practical, really. I mean, fuel mileage maybe, but not really, because they're not safe. They're fun. So I get that. Or someone that buys one of the bigger bikes, the more expensive bikes, is just buying it so they can brag about having the biggest bike possible. My point is, you don't need a bike bigger than, say, 900 cc's. You can do everything on it. You're just paying for extra horsepower that you can't use off-road. Now, everyone has different priorities. If you're touring cross-country, a 1300 GS makes a lot of sense. It is more comfortable on the highway, but like everything, it's diminishing returns. the more you spend, the more CCs you get, the less benefit and advantage you get over something that's cheaper and more mid-range, in my opinion. Number 4, ADV hot take. Upgrading your boots is more important than upgrading your helmet. Obviously, a helmet itself is more important than boots. If you can only afford one, which maybe you shouldn't be riding, but if you can only afford helmets or boots, get a helmet. Helmet is top priority. Brain injuries are bad, and you can die. So yes, protecting your noggin is pretty important. But according to a recent British study, the first one I found, and it was not difficult to find, there are a lot like this, 43% of all enduro-related injuries are to the legs, and 36% of all fractures and dislocations involve the ankle or foot. Head injuries are only 9% of total injuries, and it's mostly concussions. Now, yes, those people are always wearing helmets. I'm not saying don't wear a helmet. My point is, obviously the consequences of a head injury are much more dire, but you're 4 times more likely to have a serious foot or ankle injury, yet many people I see out there on the trail are riding around in hiking boots. So if you already have a helmet, maybe it's an entry-level helmet, Bell MX-9, that new MSR Adventure helmet, and you're thinking about spending $700 to upgrade to an Arai or something like that, but you're still riding around in something less than at least enduro boots, but maybe even up to MX boots, if you're off-road more than 50% of the time, you should rethink that. You should be wearing good foot protection, even at the expense of buying a more expensive helmet. Yes, there is some extra protection, but generally you're paying for lighter and quieter helmets, and just leaving your poor feet and ankles dangling out there with nothing to support them when you drop a 500-pound motorcycle directly on them. Number 5, ADV hot take. Pretty much all of the ADV and Dual Sport bikes are closer together in capability than people make them out to be. Most average riders, and I mean like 80% of us out there riding bikes, everyone but the people that have the very specialized needs and or the very top tier of riders, will be pretty fine with just about anything. The endless hemming and hawing you see from motorcycle journalists and influencers, myself included, is really just splitting hairs. At the end of the day, TW200 and a KTM 500 EXCF 6 Days edition will go 90% of the same places, just at different speeds. If you're beating your head against the wall trying to decide between dual sports, well, ride them all and go with the one you like the most. The difference in capability is nearly negligible, particularly if you're not the most skilled rider on earth, if you were a newer or an intermediate rider. The difference is not going to be huge. If you want to ride long distances on the road and hit some gravel roads when you get there, pretty much any ADV bike will do that. It's just how much weight and power you want to deal with and how much you want to spend. At the end of the day, we are talking 5 to 10% difference in capability between bikes in a different segment. No deal breakers. And corollary, there is no best adventure or dual sport bike. Ask 10 different people and you'll get 10 different answers. It's all subjective and highly dependent on the kinds of riding you want to do, and only you know what kinds of riding you want to do. It's easy when you're a newer rider, insecure about your skills, and I'm speaking from experience, to get caught up in the trap of, well, I need the best bike possible to make up for my lack of skills, but you can't utilize that bike with your lack of skills anyway, so you're better off just buying a bike you're comfortable on, building confidence, and going places at a slower pace as you build your skills, in my opinion. And number 6, ADV hot take, the last one. Only the elite top tier of riders can really take advantage of the most capable bikes. Maybe this is a slight contradiction to my last one, but I think you'll see the nuance in the argument here. Egos are dangerous. Salesmen are dangerous. Put them together and you end up with a lot of people on bigger and more expensive bikes than they need, or in many cases, can handle. Maybe 10%, maybe 15% of ADV riders need a bike like the 890 Adventure R. The other 90% of us will never even come close to using the full capability of cheaper bikes like the 790 Adventure, Tenere 700, or even the V-Strom 800 DE. And half the people on those should be on something smaller and less capable because they need to build their skills up before they ride them bigger and heavier bikes. Unless you're riding at the fastest pace with the highest level of skill, you're just paying more for extra stiff suspension and extra power that your traction control will be cutting all the time anyway. You'll enjoy your bike less because you're not using it in the way that it was designed. Counterpoint, it is pretty cool to have the quote best bike on the market. At least that's what the salesman at Moto Corsa told Duck Fan. So those are my ADV hot takes. This is sort of a tongue-in-cheek, end of the year, let's poke fun at some of the common misconceptions, tropes, and big ideas in the ADV community. Much love, no disrespect intended. These are my personal opinions, but that's not gonna stop some people from getting butthurt in the comments. Thank you very much for the engagement. That makes the video much more visible and helps the channel grow. I appreciate you. If you're looking for more dual sport and adventure content in 2025, please consider subscribing to the channel because I'm the dork on the road and I want to be your internet riding buddy, and I'm better than your regular riding buddies because I come with a mute button. Thank you for watching, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Oh, thank you.
Excellent!